Greetings, metalheads. Welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today, you're going to be watching a fantastic interview by a band called Wings of Steel. Now, the band have released one EP, one full-length album, and one live album. They're a fantastic band, and if you're a fan of such bands as Crimson Glory, Riot, Queensryche, Judas Priest, and Iron Maiden, you're going to love these guys. I want to thank Leo and Parker for doing the interview. So if you want to check out the band's music, you can buy it on Bandcamp. You can also buy it from the band's website, which I'll leave a link at the end of the interview. So thanks for watching. Please support Friday 13 for the band and please subscribe. Thanks for watching, metalheads. Be safe. Hi, Parker. How you doing?
Hey. All right. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, hanging in there.
So, guys,
That's really cool.
Welcome to Friday 13th. I have been listening to some of your albums on YouTube, and I think your music's fucking ace. I think you're a really fucking cool band, man. You've got a hell of a voice, by the way. And I've watched you live to see if you can do it. Yes, you can. So I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions first, guys. As a singer and guitarist, who are your influences? How did you get into music? Did you have family band members that were guitars, drums? How did it work for you guys?
The grand question. The grand question. Or Leo, do you want to go ahead? You want to start or?
Yeah, sure. I'll try and keep it under 5 minutes. Growing up, for me, I was lucky to have both my dad and my mom. They both have pretty extensive record collections. So music was always near at hand, and so from very very young age, I was listening to a lot of blues, such as Joe Bonamassa, Stevie Ray Vaughan, B.B. King, Muddy Waters, Walter Trout, Dave Manchetti, even from Y&T has that fabulous blues record. It's called On the Blues Side. I think it's from '98.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you know all about it then. So that was like the very early beginnings for me, I think, and which kind of I think I developed a big love for the electric guitar because of that, and so I then started listening a lot to like Joe Satriani, Gary Moore, Van Halen, Y&T, as I mentioned. John Norm, like these really proficient guitar players who all had something to say from a blues perspective as well. And then, from there on out, I think it wasn't a big step to go from that to like the 70s kind of big heavy metal beginnings, like Judas Priest, or even, like, I don't know, Whitesnake, Zeppelin, Deep Purple, those early like 70s bands, UFO. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I think somewhere around then, when I discovered these bands, is when I really became fascinated with the vocals. I think up until that point, I really wanted to be a guitar player. I started out playing guitar before I started singing, but I became really fascinated with the vocals when I discovered bands like Black Sabbath, specifically like the Dio era, and bands like Free and Bad Company. I discovered Paul Rodgers and Steve Lee from God Hard, David Coverdale, as I mentioned. So I think that's kind of like the quick kind of journey that I took. It went from blues to 70s rock to 80s rock to more heavy metal, and here we are.
Okay, what about you, Parker? Who's your guitar influences? How do you get into playing guitar? Was it somebody in your family?
Unlike Leo, I wasn't blessed with family members that have such an amazing, extensive music repertoire and record collection. I mean, growing up, my dad had like a U2 CD in the car, and he left it in the car for like 5 years, and that was like, and then my mom would sometimes listen to the radio. She'd listen to classic rock radio or whatever. So like, I didn't really have when I was really really young, I didn't really have a lot. But we had like this cheapo like nylon string acoustic guitar lying around, and I just remember I would go and sit with that thing for hours and just play the open strings and make noise with it. I thought it was really cool. But yeah, I think when I was 7 or 8 years old, I discovered Journey, and specifically the song Separate Ways by Journey. And that was when I started to realize, like, oh, what the fuck is this? What is music? This is awesome. And then, I like that. I tried to learn how to play piano, but it just wasn't for me. And then when I was 10 years old, I discovered Metallica, and then that's when it was starting to kind of come together, because I like Journey. It's like got this big melodic thing with all that and that big 80s sound, but then you got Metallica. It's like this hard and heavy thing and has all the energy in the music. And I think And then when I discovered that, that's when I got my first electric guitar, and I took some guitar lessons from a local dude, and I mean it pretty much took off from there. Then I discovered like Europe and Iron Maiden and Dokken, the Scorpions, Led Zeppelin, Megadeth, all the classic like 70s and 80s stuff. And it really kind of just kind of blossomed from there. And then, you know, when I was 16, I started going to the music school that Leo and I met at, and then yeah, we both had a lot of the same bands in common, and that was really cool for me because growing up, I didn't really have any friends that listened to the music. I mean, in my generation, it's kind of an outlier to have musical taste like this. So that was really cool, and yeah, then we started writing music, and here we are.
So,
So
what music school do you guys go to?
it was called Musicians Institute in Los Angeles.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
then. So who's your main influences as a guitar player and a vocalist? Then, I mean, did you listen to a lot of these shrapnel guitarists back in the day, like Paul Gilbert, Tony Falidelli, and Jason
Yeah,
Becker,
yeah. I mean,
Marty Friedman?
definitely Marty Friedman, Paul Gilbert, Jason Becker, Tony McAlpine. Yeah, I mean those guys, Richie Kotzen too. A lot of those super 80s shredders guys. They're really cool. I mean, uh, they're not my only influence. You know, I think I have maybe a little more influence from guys like Neil Schon or John Sykes or Michael Shaker. You know, guys that have a little more like it's not just all like rock ability and insanity. It's also, you know, it's also the songwriting aspect of it and the you know, the image and all that. Like there's more to playing the guitar than just the raw capable speed. Not to say that any of those guys I said before are lacking in any of those areas. Um, but uh, but yeah,
So
they're all
you guys
great.
hooked up then at an institute, like music institute. What did you start doing when you hooked up? Like music, did you do covers together?
I think it started. I think the first time we met, we just met outside. The first time we really got talking was like outside of school. We were just talking shared influences and stuff, and we went into one of the rehearsal rooms that they had in school, and we started playing through some Whitesnake and some Blue Murder and stuff. And I was singing, he was playing the guitar, no one else. And from there on out, we just kind of started talking about what like our future vision was, and turns out we wanted the exact same thing. You know, we were there for a purpose. You know, it's not like our parents sent us off to school because they want to get rid of us. And it's like, you know, we're here because we want to find the fucking band, you know? And so it just so happened to be that I was living in Hollywood. Parker was out in Thousand Oaks at that time. And I had a roommate that was moving out, and Parker was looking to move into Hollywood. So he moved in with me and my other friend who lived there. And from there on out, you know, we just started writing a lot of like demos and just exploring what we could do together. And some of the very early stuff that we wrote actually ended up being featured, you know, 2-3 years later on our first EP, which is really cool. But that's kind of how it started, and we just hit it off straight off the bat, you know, both on a personal level, but also musically.
Did you know what style of music you wanted to play? What kind of metal you wanted to play back when? Or did it just
Um,
develop later on? Did you just go with the flow and play
I
around
think
out?
it's both because I mean part of the reason why we got along so well is it's just like fuck, you know, there's another person who exists who likes this music, you know, that's great. So I mean we had all the shared influences, but it was definitely like when we sat down to write the music, it was always kind of its own thing. It was always some strange blend of everything. We didn't necessarily try to like you know, oh, we're gonna try to sound a lot like this band or that band or whatever. It's just like, oh, I have a riff, I have an idea, let's make a song with it. And that that was pretty much it, you know.
So you
Um,
guys formed in 2019, am I correct in saying that?
I mean,
well,
yes, well, no, go ahead, Lil. You got it. You got it.
well, that's when we first got to know each other, right?
Right.
So we did start writing some stuff back then for sure, but it was very unpolished at that point. It was just, you know, getting to know each other musically. It wasn't until we put out our first debut EP in 2022, I would say, that it actually like started, or maybe 2021, where most of these songs came to be.
Right then. So Wings of Steel, was that the first name that you had, or did you have any other names?
Oh
How
God,
did you
no.
get the name?
Oh my gosh. We spent 2 years, maybe more, trying to figure out
Yeah.
a band name, and we tried every tactic under the sun to try to figure something out. and we couldn't find something that we wanted to use. So it was just I don't know. It was a tough thing. So then we honestly kind of just gave up on it for a bit.
Oh,
Um, but we were still writing music and we're still doing stuff. And then fast forward, yeah, this was I think 2021 when we wrote the song Wings of Steel. Um, we wrote, Leo had written all the lyrics, and sometimes I go through and check and make sure it makes sense. And we were trying to pick a song title, and like there's a recurring line like "shoot to thrill" in the lyrics of that song. So we were gonna call it that, but I was like, you know what? That's a pretty famous AC/DC song. Like maybe, and like we're looking around, it's like, oh, there's at the end of the song, towards the end, he drops a line "Wings of Steel." So we're like, that's a pretty cool name for the song. It kind of fits with the message and the theme and everything. It's like let's roll with that. And then some short interval time later, I think Leo, one of us was like, maybe that's not a bad band name. We're like, interesting. And then it was like, yeah, there it is. So that's how it came to be.
I mean, I was looking at the album covers, the EP cover. It's very much reminds me of the Australian band Pegasus. And if you know that band, they had like a cover with like a horse with wings, kind of similar to what you did. It's like, so as I saw the cover, I thought, this is the Australian band Pegasus. I remember those guys.
It's funny, man. It's when we put out, so full disclosure, we had no idea who those guys were. And then when we put this out, it started doing really well on YouTube. It was shared by a pretty big channel on YouTube. And we started getting these comments like, oh, this really reminds me of like Pegasus. And we started looking into these things and we're like, oh shit, well, that's cool. Like, if we had known about it beforehand, would we have gone down the same route? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm very glad that we did.
Yeah, I mean, it's great artwork at the end of the day. So your first EP was released in 2022. Have you had the same lineup since the EP?
No, no. I mean, it's basically the band basically started with me and Leo. It's always been, we've always been the ones who come up with the riffs and write everything and essentially record everything too. When the first EP we did, we had a drummer, Mr. Mike Mayhem, and we basically had all the songs written and recorded. We just needed drums on them, so he came in and laid the drums down for us, and then we played between the EP and then right after the release of the full length album Gates of Twilight.
Yeah,
we played a couple shows here in LA. So we had Mike on the drums, and then we had we had a bass player named Johnny out here. And then last year, 2024, we went to do our first European tour, and Mike and Johnny couldn't come and do the tour with us because we were going to be gone for several weeks. So then we had Mr. Matt Trobeck from Belgium on bass.
Is that the guy from the band Acid?
Yes. Yeah,
I recognised him. I recognised him
Acid.
because I saw Acid at Bang Your Head Festival, but he also plays in another band that were playing with Anvil at a festival last year, and I recognised him.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
So now we have him playing bass for us, and then we have another drummer, Mr. Marcel from Germany, who also joined us for this tour. And then
who was he with?
But real quick though, then our other rhythm guitar player, Mr. Stefan Bailey, he's been with us since the start. So he's also out here in LA, and yeah, that's kind of the story of our lineup so far.
So how did you find the drummer? What band was he in before you guys, with him living in Germany?
I think the way we found the drummer was through a mutual friend, because we were auditioning drummers, and we tried a couple of guys out, and it wasn't quite cutting it. And then through a mutual friend, we got in contact with Marcel, and he sent us a demo, and we thought it sounded really good. We didn't really ask him a lot about his history and stuff. It turns out like he didn't really have a lot of live experience coming into it. He'd been playing with some local guys and like doing a few like bar gigs and stuff, but nothing crazy, So, but we don't care so much about like if you can play the music, you can deliver a good live performance. I think that's all that matters at the end of the day, and that's always what we base our live lineups on. If you can deliver, you're a cool fucking dude. Then that's all it takes, really.
So the EP, did you have any titles for this EP, or was it just Wings of Steel and that was it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that particular thing came to us really quick, as opposed to like the band name itself, which Parker mentioned was a whole fucking thing. But the name for the EP, I think, was pretty cut and dry. We wanted that as soon as we wrote that song, we're like, this is a strong title, let's use it.
Right then. So the EP cover's really, really great artwork. Who did it? I mean, looking at it now, I feel like I've got wings behind me. I'm flying.
Yeah, it looks great, dude.
It's so we to do the cover artwork, it's actually we actually we found a tattoo artist who's out here. I'm in Thousand Oaks, which is like a neighborhood just part of north part of LA. But yeah, so we wrote the EP, we had it recorded, and we're like, all right, we need to get the artwork done. So we looked around at some local tattoo artists and we found this guy, Mr. Spencer Caligiuri, and he actually he's done my tattoos here too. But um yeah, so we kind of just had a rough idea. Leo and I like sketched out this thing on a piece of paper, and I don't think either one of us can draw. I mean, we have the drawing skills of like a 4-year-old, but we had like the concept of what we wanted, and we kind of showed that and explained it to Spencer, and the EP cover as it is, literally exactly as it is. It was like the first thing he sent us, so we're just like, holy shit, he nailed it. So yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
So the EP, what's your favorite songs from the EP? You guys, what's your favorites? And how long did it take to record the EP?
Um, well, like I mentioned earlier, I think the songs from the EP, some of it's accumulated from like earlier stuff that we wrote. Like one of the first riffs we ever started working on together is the song Storm Child, which actually ended up being featured on the album. It's one of the songs that do really well live as well. And it's hard to say exactly how long it took. I would say it took us like all in all between 1 and 2 years, but we were still figuring stuff out as we went along, and as for like favorite song, it's really hard to tell. I mean, they all bring something special to the table. That's the cool thing about this EP is I feel like all the songs, while they have our sound, we really wanted to bring something to the table that highlights a lot of our capabilities and different influences and stuff like that. If I had to pick, I'm not going to pick more than half of the EP, so I'm just going to say two songs. I would probably say Storm Child and Rhythm of Desire.
How about you, Parker? What's yours?
Oh, well, I'll just add to the background a little bit. So this EP was written, even though it was written over the course of like 2 years essentially, like it didn't take us 2 years to write those songs. That time period, basically from when Leo and I met until the EP came out, there was the COVID and we were all stuck inside.
Yeah.
So we basically spent that time period just writing a bunch of songs and kind of developing things. So I mean, we wrote probably a dozen songs in that time, and we really we racked up a big catalog. And then the EP essentially was just we picked some of the ones that we thought were the best or we thought were our favorites at the time, and that's what got released. But I mean, I can tell you too, just by memory, like we wrote Storm Child in March of 2020. Blackout the Street was written, I think, in December of 2020. Wings of Steel was like February of 2021. Rhythm of Desire was April, and Camps and Riders was May of 2021. So
Bro,
like
your memory is ridiculous, man.
I know. I've been thinking about this, but so it didn't take us that long to write the EP. It's just that was kind of the phase of where we were at with the band, and we were developing the sound. But anyways, so if I had to pick, I mean, the thing is, you can't pick you write the songs and you release, they're like your kids, they all have something special to it. But I mean, I really like the song Blackout the Street, which is the last song on the EP. Just it's got a lot of lead guitar parts. It's got a really cool vibe and atmosphere to it. So if I'd pick that one, and then I really like Rhythm of Desire just because it's really fun to play live. It also has an awesome guitar solo, really cool verse sections, and yeah. But again, I mean every song on there is great. I love playing it all. So
Thing is that you guys haven't got a record deal. You've put them out everything out yourselves. Why haven't you got a record deal? You're such a great band, great musicians. Why is nobody paying attention to you?
they're paying attention. It's just, the circumstances that we've been offered to work with these record companies is just, I mean, we started out doing everything ourselves because we had no other option, and that kind of put us in a situation where we have a lot of insight as to how things work. And it kind of, when we've been asked about working under certain conditions and certain terms, we just like it's just not worth it for us. I mean, we don't want to give up the vast majority of the revenue and the creative control over our music, especially when now we've been smart with our business and we have the resource to be able to do it ourselves and the expertise. And yeah. So in a nutshell, that's another great question. There's a lot of detail in there, but I think that's what I'll say for that.
Okay, then so we're going to talk about the album then. This baby. Another one with wings behind me back.
There you go.
I'm going to be flying by at the end of this interview. So the album Gates of Twilight, who came up with the title?
You remember how we came up with that title, man?
Man, I think we wrote the whole album, and I mean I think we always wanted to. I mean, at least in this case, we wanted to name the album after one of the songs that we had because I think personally we both kind of like it when there's a record and there's a title track of the record on the album. I think that's a cool thing. So I think we just ended up picking, Gates of Twilight. It felt like it had a cool ring to it. It kind of conceptually maybe kind of wrangled everything in together.
Yeah.
All the topics and the themes that we had of the songs on the record. So I think that's kind of that's why we picked it.
So is the artwork done by the same guy again who did the first EP, I presume?
Yep.
Is he some guy that you're going to be working with in the future because you feel confident with him?
We're working with him right now for our upcoming release, and we did it for our live album as well. So yeah, no, he's an integrated part in the Wings of Steel package.
So who came up with the logo? Because it's a cool logo.
So I think we wanted to try something different from the first one. And we gave him free hands, like, try some stuff out, see how it'll look. He kept it like a circular kind of shape, and it works really good with that. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. I think that was also like a first or second draft thing we ended up going with that one.
So how long did this album take to record to the previous EP?
So
oh man,
in stark contrast to the last one,
Yeah, you go for Parker.
Well, so basically when Leo was here initially up until 2021, because he was here at the music school, he had a student visa to be in the US. But his student visa ran out at that time, 2021 or something like that. And so he could only come back to be out here or if you come to the US as a tourist, I think they give you 90 days.
So where are you from originally then? Where are you from? If you have to.
I'm originally from Sweden.
Oh, okay, all right.
So yeah, so that's kind of the situation that we've been facing ever since. Where when I do come out, I come out as a tourist, and we work on writing the material or whatever it is that we need to be doing at that point, which means that it's stressful to say the least when you have 90 days, essentially a little less than that.
Not even 90 days.
Yeah,
it's like it's around maybe 2.5 months or so, something like that.
Yeah.
I think 10 weeks. 10 weeks.
Yeah. That's 10 weeks. The short answer is it took us 10 weeks to write and record that whole album. Essentially, that's how long we had, and we wanted to see how many songs we could knock out. But yeah, it was a sweaty experience, but it was a cool experience, and we ended up doing like one song a week, essentially, writing and recording. Had some like riffs and ideas going into it, but the vast majority of those songs it was written in that room that Parker's sitting in right now, and yeah, we banged them out.
Yep.
So what's your favorite songs in this album? Because it's slightly different from the EP, in it. I mean, how would you describe your music? I'd say it's melodic power metal, but it's not European style. It's more directed towards American.
I mean, I guess it's up to the listener, it's really hard to say.
There's one band that particularly springs to mind when I listen to your music, Riot. Do you get that a lot in reviews?
I think it's a pretty common one. I mean, I think those guys, we get Crimson Glory, we used to get a lot. Queensryche, we get a lot. Halloween, Iron Maiden. Yeah. I mean, we get the thing is like we get a lot of comparisons to a lot of different music, and I think it's because Leo and I don't really think of this as like a project that's like super directional in any which way. Like there's validity to all that. Like, yeah, you can hear Priest, you can hear Sabbath, you can hear Maiden, you can even hear Metallica, you can hear Whitesnake, you can hear like all these different bands, and it's like, yeah, it is true because they did somehow make make their influence in there. But yeah, I mean, we when we have to describe it as a genre, we can just say, heavy metal or classic heavy metal or something, because it's like, okay, maybe this one song you could be more specific, say, oh, this is a speed metal thing, or whatever, but then this other one, like, oh, this is like a, heavy rock or like a blues thing or whatever. So it's we leave that up to the listener to place it in whatever category that they hear it and how they perceive it. Because as far as we're concerned, it's Wings of Steel. It's what we write, So
I think because you just said you're from Sweden, I think the Swedish elements and the American elements kind of go really well instead of you like both from the same country, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say. Every time I hear anyone Swedish singing, or even like sometimes guitar players, I can hear the Swedish element in there. I think it's because I'm Swedish myself. But I think just working with Parker, it feels like we have a really good dynamic where it's not only I get to do whatever I want and he gets to do whatever he wants. It's like as we're going along, these ideas they come from both of us working together, and it's almost like that creates a unique sound. And yeah, it's very fascinating. I don't know how much validity there is to the nation aspect side of things, other than that it's a fucking pain in the ass going out there for 90 days at a time. But it works out well. I've been able to get rid of a lot of my accent, still working on it, but it's been a fun ride so far.
yeah,
To answer your question real quick, favorite songs off of that one. And to kind of emphasize the fact that we have like a lot of the songs on there, they're so different. Like I really like the song Into the Sun, which is I think that's a completely unique song. It's got some like reggae in there and stuff. It's a super fascinating tune. At the same time, we have She Cries, which brings back like the power ballad aspect.
Yeah, it's got like a bluesy
of heavy metal.
Kind of a bluesy
Sure,
vibe.
sure. Yeah, speaking of bluesy vibe, we have like a song like Leather and Lace on there too, which is just like straight up 80s kind of blues metal or whatever you want to call it. But favorite songs, I'd say Into the Sun. I'd say probably She Cries, Lady of the Lost, Liar in Love. I'd say those. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add real quick on like the country thing. Like, I think Leo and I both like we have a pretty like a relatively international ear. So I mean, a lot of the stuff, especially because heavy metal came from the British Isles, originally. I mean, with
Yeah,
Sabbath.
we created
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So of course we have the big influence from all the British bands, but also like we were like the Scorpions and like that, like, so there's like German bands, there's American bands, like there's Swedish bands. There, we listen to stuff all over the thing. We're not really too opinionated for one specific country's kind of thing. So maybe that's what contributes to our sound the way it is. But also to go and answer your question. I mean, I think I have to base my favorite songs on which ones I really like to play live. Into the Sun is always a fun time for me because it's got a big guitar solo, and I'm a guitar player. I'm biased. I love to play guitar solos. Um, but also the title track, Gates of Twilight, is a lot of fun to play live. It's really dynamic. It kind of goes through a bunch of changes, which is fun. Um, and I think Liar in Love too, just 'cause it's got a big middle section. It's super epic. But I mean, but every track on there, again, like they're like your kids, they all have something cool, and that's why you wrote them. That's why you put them out on the record. So there's
Yeah.
really I don't have a very strong opinion either. I think they're all fucking great tracks. So
Yeah, I agree.
It's super,
a really
it's super
good album.
fascinating. I feel like it changes like my favorite tunes based on just like listening on this in the studio or like performing live. I feel like that changes a lot. When you're listening objectively to an album, I get with like grooves and stuff like that a lot more. But if it comes to performing it live, um, I think like I get Parker. You got the big solo. He's a guitar player. I could never really understand it the way he does it. I think for me, it's not so much about like the big vocal moment or something like that. I think it's more when the crowd really like gets fired up and like amped up and they start like banging their fists or singing along with the lyrics. Those become like the spots that's really memorable for me when it's all like everyone's just one unit, right? So whatever song tends to be the song that does that, which actually changes, which is super cool. That's always like my favorite song live. So it's interesting. Just wanted to add that because it does differ depending on whether you're listening studio or live, and that goes for other bands too when you listen to their stuff.
yeah,
Right,
I mean, I'll add
so
on that note really quick too. Like She Cries is a great example of a track that live, I feel like it really I mean, we usually put that one. We're not going to spoil anything. Typically, we put it earlier in the set. Not guaranteed, but I feel like when we play that song, like it really, people really light up, and it's really a cool thing to experience that energy and to see what that song brings out in me.
So do you know how many albums you've actually sold? You think you've done pretty well, roughly?
Um, I think we're around like CDs. I think it's around 2,000. Vinyls is around 700. The last time I checked was 2 months ago.
So is it only available on Bandcamp then, on your website? Is
No,
that
no,
where
no. We have it on our website
yeah,
actually.
so
That's
like
where
yeah.
we try to. Yeah. In Europe, it's a bit different. It kind of we do big sales to different smaller labels and distributors out there. So it's kind of sometimes some store has it, some stores don't. We've sold a lot to these guys called Underground Power Records, and also to these guys, the High Roller Records too. They have
Yeah,
a
I know those
bunch.
guys, yeah.
So if you're looking around, check those guys. Usually, and we tend to restock them pretty regularly. So if you're looking for it in Europe, I'd suggest you go there. If you order, you can order from us, but it's gonna be expensive. There's shipping costs, and
Yeah,
then
it's
there's
really
like an
expensive, isn't it?
import,
Yeah.
VAT or whatever. So it gets, it's too expensive for one CD. So check out those places if you're in Europe.
So new songs, how many new songs have you got wrote for the next album, guys? How far into the new album are you?
So it's all been recorded. It's currently being mixed and mastered. I'm not sure if we want to drop the amount of songs we have on there. Um,
I
are
don't think
we?
we should tell them. I
Yeah.
mean, it's enough for an album, and it's enough for you to be more than satisfied with an album. So I'll say that. But
You got a title? You
Yeah.
want to tell me the title, or is that still hush hush? Do I get
no,
an
not yet.
exclusive?
Not yet. Not yet. Stay tuned. Probably in the next maybe month and a half or two, we'll be announcing it. So
So
you
you
don't have to
guys,
wait long.
so you guys are coming back to Europe in like July because I'm going to go and see you at Headbangers Open Air, which I'm
Oh,
really
great.
looking forward to
Awesome.
seeing you guys
That's
live.
cool. You'll get to hear a brand new song there, most likely.
Well, I do photography at the festival, so I'll take some photos and I'll just send a load to you.
Cool. Yeah. Nice.
So
Appreciate that, man.
please,
Thank you.
please play because I'm asking you to play because my favorite band, Judas Priest, have played England the same weekend. So if you guys pull out, I'm going to kick your asses because I'm coming over to see you guys. Don't let me down, please.
We'll be there, man. We'll be there. Yeah. So well, speaking of Europe, we're gonna be doing we got a few. We're still confirming a couple of the shows, but we got what's this, Iron Fest open air in Germany in June, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna play we just announced today, actually, we just announced we're gonna play in Milan on July 5th in Italy. And then we're supposed to be playing two shows in Poland, one show in Warsaw in Poland. I think that's July 12th or something. That
Yep.
one hasn't been announced, but we're gonna announce it soon. We're going to play in Finland. We're trying to book a couple shows in Sweden as well, and then the Headbangers Open Air in Northern Germany. And then in September we'll come back. We're going to play south of France at what is the festival?
Torinis, however you
Carinian,
pronounce
yeah,
it. Yeah.
Carinian Warriors. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
And we're going to play in Spain, and then we're going to play. We already got it announced. We have a show in Belgium and Kortrijk. It's right across the border from Lille in France.
Right, yeah.
And then Sound Dog Breda in the Netherlands. That's Belgium September 24th, Netherlands September 28th. And then we got two other fests in Germany at the very beginning of October, and one of them is Keep It True Rising. So
Awesome.
that's where we'll be in Europe this year, and hopefully we'll see you guys out there.
Right. I want to thank you guys for doing this interview. I wish you all the best with the new album. Can't wait to hear it. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Well, Parker just listed out all the stuff we're going to be doing. So I guess I will just go ahead and say, if you have been supporting us, if you know who we are, thank you so much for the support. It's ultimately what's been the thing that's kept us going independently and put us on the road, and we're able to do this stuff. So we're eternally grateful for that, and we can't wait to come out, meet you guys on the road. And if you're just coming across the band, feel free to go in to our Spotify or wherever. You can go to our website, wingsofsteelband.com. Check out our music. Let us know what you think. And yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Okay, Parker.
Leo, you said it all, but I will add too. If you are new to the band and you want to find a way to support, I can tell you guys right now, the best way that you can help us, aside from, of course, trying to find and buy our CDs and merch and all that, is just tell your friends, and if you know a local radio station or a local venue or promoter and you want us to come play there, just let them know and spread the word, because that's really how stuff gets around. We do what we can to advertise and play shows, but the real way that it spreads is through you guys. So we're eternally grateful for all the support that we had, and we can't wait to share our new music with you and hopefully see you guys out there on the road this year. So
brilliant. Well, thanks, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you at Headbangers Open Air. Thank you, guys. Please support the YouTube channel. I'll send you this interview when it's online. If you'd share it on social media, I'd much appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Will do.
Thanks, guys. Well, nice talking to you guys. Fucking rock and keep on rolling, man. I'll see you in July at Headbangers.
Thanks, man. Nice meeting you.
Cheers, brother. Thank you. Take care. Thanks, guys. Good night.